Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGen Ed and Ticker Request Live, where I take your ticker requests and go over them live for Sunday, October 12th at starting at 9:30 Eastern. I'm going to be doing this for an hour. I got work in the morning, so I can't be streaming too late. And just to note, I do have a poll in the chat. Do you guys think that the week will be ending red or green? So make sure you vote in that. Just see what other people are thinking, and I'll be curious to check that at the end of the stream. I'll try to remember doing that, but polls are new to me as far as the chat goes. But yeah, before going into your guys' request, I thought I'd just mention kind of brief overview. Stock market had a pretty big pullback last Friday. So here we have this SPY pulled up. It's the S&P 500, and it came down 2.7% on Friday, so October 10th, and that is, of course, on the news of tensions between Trump, the U.S., and China. Regarding tariffs, rare earth elements, props to any of you. Congrats to any of you if you did partake in the rare earth elements trade. I did go over USAR maybe 3 weeks ago. I did not end up partaking in it, but I kind of laid out a thesis that I thought it could be going up really high. And I believe in the overnight, it's trading around $37. And when I did that video most recently, I think it was trading around 18. So yeah, congrats to you guys if you're in that. But generally, thinking about the SPY, I have this on the daily here, and yeah, it did close on Friday. Let's see at $653, and we do have the 50-day simple moving average in blue there at 651. But one of the things that I've realized about TradingView is if I do switch this over to the 15-minute time frame or the hour, whatever it is, it won't show overnight trading. And with the kind of big news on Friday, it will be good to see that. So I am actually going to switch over to Webull real quick, and so we can see the same thing here, down by 2.7% on Friday. But we can also see some of the overnight price action. So we can see the number up here closed at 653, but in the overnight, it's actually bounced up 1.3% or $8.58, trading at 661.60. So, I'm going to flip over to the 10-minute time frame so we can kind of see what's going on with that. So, this is the price action from Friday. I imagine this is when, there were some tensions around the U.S. and China relationship, and the S&P 500, along with a lot of other stocks and crypto, started to come down, even coming into the after hours. And I'll go over crypto in just a minute, which, actually came down a lot more in the after hours. Basically, shortly after getting to work, or maybe it was, just before after hours, I was working the second shift, so afternoon into evening. And it's just like, wow, things are collapsing. But now what we see following the after hours in the darker gray shading here, after hours from Friday, we can see that into the overnight for today, for Sunday, the first candle that we got was a 1.2% to the upside, going up $7.85 or $7.85. Then consolidating up here, and maybe we do see this continue to go higher. So, I think that maybe we saw a dip buying opportunity on Friday, but I think the saying is that markets rarely bottom on Fridays. So what we might see, maybe some buying the dip on light volume in the overnight and pre-market trading, but then maybe there's some initial panic selling because maybe there are some orders, some stop losses that were placed that don't get triggered until the market actually opens. And so I could see, maybe a wick down, whether it's the SPY or your favorite stock, whatever it is, or crypto. Maybe when the market opens, we see kind of a flush at the start, and maybe that's a dip buying opportunity. Other things that I have noticed is that the VIX, let's see, I'm just kind of adjust my camera because you can see a little bit of stuff there. Adjusting that, sorry about that. But the VIX, did spike up, closed the day on Friday at 21.66, so above $20. So that's pretty crazy. And if we do flip over to the daily, we can see that got a bunch of doodles on here, but I don't really, do too much stuff in Webull anymore. But yeah, I do have that blue line right around actually the alert here at 20, and that blue line's at 21.90. So pretty crazy there. One that I do like to follow is, and I actually do have a position in it, is the UVIX. This is the 2x long VIX futures ETF. So it's 2x long, very risky. My average is, I think, around 24 or just below 24, and it closed on Friday at 12.54. So, I'm holding the bag on this, but I'm not really sweating it. It's not too huge of a position. But, it does seem like, going up 25.65% on Friday, that this could really be launching. However, you might notice in the the overnight, it's red there, 11:30. So we are seeing a little bit of a pullback. So if I do flip over to the 10-minute time frame, we can see Friday's price action, kind of inverse of what we saw with the SPY going up around here, and then consolidating, continuing up in the the after hours on Friday, but then pulling back. And so one of the things that I've really noticed whenever there's big sell-off or something, everybody's buying puts or whatever on Friday, things tend to get resolved over the weekend, whether that's because of Trump's negotiation tactics, because of the chaos, the volatility, the administration, whatever it is, whatever you want to blame it on or attribute it to or credit it to. I think that these things tend to reverse. And so I think that we're kind of seeing that. So yeah, if I don't expect this to go up much higher, the UVIX, the VIX, I don't expect the SPY to come much lower. And I think that it could actually be bouncing, finding that 50 SMA as support. So I did want to point that out. And then referring to crypto, I'm really just going to summarize that by coming over here to this GIF. The meme here with all the different cryptos and just, everybody's taking the punches to the nuts, the kicks to the nuts. And everything's down a lot. And that's because there was a liquidation cascade, I believe. Everybody was just over leveraged. And so one of the things that I guess I'm proud of with the channel is that, I am kind of a lame trader. I take pretty small positions. I don't expose myself to too much risk. I do a lot of dollar cost averaging. And with that, this didn't affect me at all, really. I was able to buy some of the dips. I mean, you could argue that they are still dipping right now. I am not chasing anything, because one thing that I find with crypto is that, Bitcoin or whatever it is dropping, I'm going to buy some. And then it keeps going, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to buy some more. And then it keeps going, and then it's like, well, I don't get paid for a couple weeks. And so, I didn't do that. I am here to weather the storm, taking advantage of the dips on a daily basis when my orders are scheduled to fill. But, I'm not going too crazy on it. We could still see some more downside. But I also think that this could be a liquidation event to the downside. People were over leveraged long, and I heard an argument about as all of these ETFs are about to be listed, if there is all this unhealthy leverage in the system, and something like this happens when there are a bunch of ETFs on Wall Street, that could be really devastating, not just for those holding the ETFs, but just generally with crypto and Wall Street and all of that coming together. So I think that this is actually like a really good cleansing thing that allows us to now go to the upside. So I don't while I think it's a bad thing, if people are getting liquidated and stuff like that. And I should note too, if I do use any leverage, it is with options, but usually I just try to talk about options, referring to them as an extra layer of data. Hopefully nobody was affected by this who watches the channel. I imagine not. But if you were, take it day by day, see how it plays out. And it's just a crazy event that we experienced in crypto. I think the $19 billion liquidated, just on Friday last week. So pretty crazy. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. And I see some in the chat there. Let's see, Ricardo is saying, let's go Ed. So yeah, rocking on. And then let's see, Anon is saying, and I made 12K on SPY Puts Friday. Congrats. Might be bouncing, so good if you secured your gains already. Congrats. If not, it seems like it might be bouncing, so make sure you plan accordingly and whatnot. But yeah, I'm going to move away from this GIF, and I did want to go over a couple other things. There was somebody who commented on my AMC video. They said shills in all caps, and so I responded to them all caps. One of the things about the internet is it doesn't matter if you make YouTube videos or, whatever it is. We're basically all shills. We're all trying to shill our ideas. We think that our ideas are good. We like to interact with people, all of that. Especially, somebody on YouTube, I am, trying to share my good ideas, which I think are good ideas. You could maybe view that as shilling. But one thing that I will shill for just a second, because I'm excited about it, I recently became a GameStop Pros member. They do have this event going on. I just wanted to go over a couple things, just kind of silly. One is that, it's double Pros week. So if you are a Pro member, you get 2 weeks of some pretty nice discounts. And also, I don't have a new gaming console and, a lot of stuff. So one of the things I was thinking about GameStop, hey, I could get some more shirts to wear, when I make videos and stuff, because most of my shirts are kind of lame or plain. And yeah, you could get some shirts for $10. And they actually had a deal last week. I was looking at some shirts, but then now the deal is even better, only $10 per shirt. So I just wanted to pull up my cart here, just having some fun real quick. I'm not going to buy anything right now, but I've got 9 shirts in my cart, and it ends up being like about $90. If you spend over $55, I think you get free shipping, so it's pretty cool. And if I do scroll down, you can see that I could use my monthly Pro reward, which is for $5. I also do have some rewards in my account, I think $1 or $2. But yeah, some of these shirts are pretty cool. Like one of them, I don't know if you guys grew up, it does take a second to load, but I don't know if you guys grew up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so that's a pretty cool shirt. And there are some other ones. This one's a Star Wars one. I probably won't get this, but it looks cool with all of the stars on it. I'm not really sure why an X-Wing is targeted on it, but I guess that this would have been a TIE Fighter's view. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool. One that I really like a lot is this alien xenomorph shirt. I think that's cool. And one that I probably won't get because all that you will see from it would be Spider-Man's butt. Because you'd only see this much above, and he happens to be upside down in this. So it's a pretty cool shirt, but yeah, I probably won't be getting it because of that. And yeah, there are just some other shirts here, and so I just wanted to share that in case you guys are into GameStop or not. I just wanted to share. But yeah, if there are requests or anything like that, I'm probably going to go over more charts in Webull just because of the overnight stuff, or I'll at least check to see what's going on in the overnight. Maybe I'll do that just briefly to start, and then if I do see that there is more requests, then I will go over those. But yeah, just coming over to the list here. I'm just going to go to the TRL list that I have here because I wanted to point out USAR, US Rare Earth Elements. And speaking of shilling, I might, pull up the DGen Ed channel just to go over, point out when I last went over USAR. I feel like I went over it kind of recently, but maybe it was just in a stream. I'm not really sure. Or maybe it was during one of these, daily updates I was doing. Maybe it was during a live stream. I'm not sure. But yeah, the Fartcoin prophecy ended up being the inverse prophecy, with it going to 42 cents before $4.20. But where is, let's see, I'm getting distracted. Oh yeah, so this was from 2 months ago. US Rare Earth Elements, I pointed out this downtrend here, and it's since broken out. And, I covered it more recently. And yeah, let's see. I'm just going to go over to the daily. Yeah, man, I got to clean up all of my drawings here. And so I guess the way that I should do this probably is come over here to just pull up and I need to note everything that I'm going over. Sorry, I'm a little disorganized. SPY, I went over SPY, I went over the VIX and the UVIX, and now I'm going over USAR, just because I want to make sure I include everything in the description. And also, all the videos that I've done most recently, any of the relevant ones, I do have links in the description of the video, so you can easily access them. But yeah, I mean, that, that thumbnail that I had, I was talking about it breaking out over here, retesting, and then going higher. And so price was around 11, 12 bucks. I think I did swing this up to here, but I didn't hold on. But I did more recently talk about it, I think in a stream, had to have been around 18 bucks, and it's just soared. So pretty insane. And so this is showing its close on Friday at 32.61 with a high up here of 37.85. And that's about where it's trading at. Let's see, at 37 currently. So yeah, this has just been massive. So, I'm just really proud of my analysis with that. I wish I had had more conviction in it and held longer. But, in and out, I made some money on it. So that's great. Nothing to complain about that. And yeah, I do see some chats here, so I'll pull them up. And so Ricardo is saying some stuff about XRP and Link. So the dip got me an XRP to 239 and a Link at 1721. What do you see? What do I see with GEVO and Rocket? I believe that would be Rocket. Average down on Rocket. Very nice. And so I think I might have some of those in my crypto list. I'm limited by all the stuff that I can have over here. Okay, so I do have XRP up here. And so Ricardo's saying he got the dip on XRP and on and on. By the way, I do see your comment there. Oh, on a USAR. So I'll circle back to that in a minute. But yeah, XRP 239. Let's see. That is, right around here. One of the things I think is really interesting about this is people will see this and just be like you gotta fill at 239, which is, let's see, what was the close here on the 10th? The close was at 237.49. So I mean, Ricardo's level is like right around where my cursor is there. And so a lot of people might be like, oh man, I bought the dip, but I could have gotten a much better dip down here, like where that yellow line is around 191. But the reality is, very few orders get filled on Wix like that because either exchanges have issues or, it's just such quick demand. It just doesn't happen. And so anybody who got fills down here would have been super lucky. And right now, with the average of, let's see, 239, I'm just going to try to get this right around there. To current price, that's up by 5.6%. So very nice there. Congrats on that. And yeah, I mean, I think that we're still on for the bull market. I feel like we'll still get Uptober, but maybe not. Maybe that's something I could flip over if you guys are interested to look at CoinGlass. I am including links to CoinGlass in the description of the video, so you can look at crypto data over there. Don't need a membership or anything, just handy in the descriptions of the videos. And then also Link. I did go over a link for Crypto Corner Sat Stacker, but I don't have it on my list, so I'm just going to pull it up over here. So Link on Coinbase, and so Ricardo got an average of 1721, and so that is going to be, yeah, wow, below that yellow line that I got there, which is at 1739, so very nice on that dip. And so from 17, let's see, 21, right, that's actually a little bit higher, but right around there, up over 10%. Very, very nice on that. So congrats to you. And so I guess I should also note that I've gone over XRP and Link. And then I will also be going over GEVO for you and Rocket. So let's pull up GEVO. Let's see, what did I draw last week? So kind of drew cup and handle. Seems like it's playing out. Maybe this is just like a little bit of a retest here because we got you know, like I'll just do trend line a little bit, you know, from the high over here. And, you know, I could just do this holding the shift. So it, like if I'm diagonal, I hold the shift, it makes it horizontal. And so that does look like, you know, it's potentially, you know, getting a retest of the neckline or the brim of that cup. And then, you know, could be going higher. So I still think it looks good. And so, yeah, that's what I'd say I see with GEVO. Yep, there's the cup, and it's just like retesting. So I guess what I would say, I should probably pull it up over here just to see what's going on with this volatile weekend. And so GEVO doesn't have overnight trading, so don't really need to worry about too much over there. But let's see. Yeah, this should pull up. I'm just going to do 1 hour time frame. But yeah, I mean, it's effectively in the after hours from Friday, see where it opens up, you know, and pre-market into the market. But I think, you know, testing around like 215, that could be, you know, just retesting where it's previously broken out from. Just, you know, that cup and stuff there. So yeah, that's around 220 to I guess, yeah, 215. I guess it closed at 219. So that's why there's the red mark there at 219, the close there. So that's kind of what I would see. I'd also want to look over at the flow here. So I'm just going to pull it up in unusual whales. I'll just pull up, you know, whatever contract, kind of arbitrary. I really just want to see the data over here. This is the net call and put premium. And so if I do expand that, just so we get a little bit cleaner picture, you know, it's not millions of dollars, so doesn't really stand out too much to me. But what we see is effectively throughout the day, the red and green lines, so the green being net call premium, the red being net put premium, flat. And then right at the end of the day, the net call premium dumped. So it went from down by 2,000 to down by 112,000. So that's kind of odd. It looks a little fishy. So maybe there's some precarious price action with that. So that's something that I would consider. And then over here, I mean, the spike in net call premium here, 158,000 over here, 275,000. So there's really not that much as far as premium goes with this stock. But generally, I would say that, you know, a retest of that handle would make sense. And then also do just want to point out the bear bull slider, largely because of this dump of calls at the end of the day, I imagine. But that bear bull slider is 81% on the bearish side, so that doesn't look so great. So I wouldn't be too surprised if there is a little bit of a pullback. And, you know, one thing that I can do, maybe it does pull back a little bit deeper. And we do have the 50 SMA here at 178. So that is, I would say, like worst case scenario. I don't think it's going to go down that low. But then we can also do a Fibonacci retracement from the low here on August 21st. That was at 154. And then going up to the high here on, let's see, October 6th. That was at a price of 237. Need to get that a little bit higher. I'm just going to lock that in place, but then slide that forward to 305 so we can see it a little bit cleaner there. One of those levels, the 382, that's going to be around $2.05 or right around $2. I could also add the 236. I'm just going to make that purple just so we have kind of the rainbow scheme there. The 236 is around 217, really just kind of corresponding with that neckline or the brim of that cup or, you know, the top of that handle. But the 382, like I said, coming down to $2. I would really like to see it holding, you know, above 196 because then that's, you know, putting in higher lows. And actually the low over here from October 1st was 192. So I'd like to see it maintain a price above 192, and we can just see, you know, kind of rough there, but it's just, you know, higher lows. So those are my thoughts with GEVO. Hopefully they're helpful. And then I will also pull up Rocket real quick. And just following up, Ricardo saying, thank you very much for going over those tickers. I could have made money on TLRY if I had followed your TA. I could have as well. My order didn't get filled. I didn't make it. And one of the things that I'd say caution about TLRY right now is I was talking about going from 150 to 2. That happened. Now it seems like it's pulling back. So, I was talking about between now and Halloween. 2 days later, it goes up to over $2, and that's between now and Halloween. So, or then and Halloween. So, yeah, I mean, one of the things that I have to appreciate with this channel is I am constantly going to be going over tickers where I'm spot on with the analysis, but I can't end up being in them. And it's just because you can't be in all of them. And so I try to just focus on, the handful that I have and try to make sure that those perform well. And with that is also kind of taking profits at times when maybe it's not that popular. And, so I got kind of a lot of pushback for that with NEO. I think, it's pulled back a decent amount, but, not necessarily to where I thought it would. So I've avoided, some gains, but I've also managed some risk to the downside. So kind of 50-50 split there. And then got burned on marijuana stocks or cannabis stocks. I don't know what's most appropriate to say for the algorithm, but before, so chickened out. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I have as well. I think they're very speculative. I think that they have kind of, gone through the process. I'm going to reverse for you guys, I think. So hopefully this is, well, actually, no. Hopefully this makes sense for you guys going forward in time. So this would be, reading that way. But I feel like a lot of marijuana stocks have gone down like this. And so everybody's lost so much conviction. But now they've started to, they're up here, going up here. So I think that things have kind of turned around for them. But yeah, I mean, we can't be in everything. We got to pick and choose. And, GEVO, I meant to pull up Rocket. So I'll pull up that. And I'm just going to pull up your previous chat. And let's see. Oh, actually, maybe Ricardo is saying average GEVO is 290. So big holder on GEVO. I might just pull that up. I'm going all over the place. But yeah, this is his follow-up comment on that. 290. And yep, so sounds like your holder, bag holder, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I could totally be wrong. But I mean, I'd see, it coming back to, like $2, maybe a little bit lower. But yeah, just keep an eye on like 292, the low from over here. Want to be seeing that hold higher. And I guess one thing to kind of note with the volume is that, it has pushed higher. And actually, I might remove the chat there just for a second so I can show the RSI. But it has been putting in higher highs here in the stock price. And those higher highs have corresponded with kind of, a casual downtrend in, let's see, volume. And so there would be like a little bit of divergence with that. You want to be seeing strength behind the moves to the upside. Whereas if it was consolidating like over here, seeing a downtrend in the volume is good because then you get a pump in volume, price can go up. But yeah, it does seem like it's getting a little bit exhausted here. We do see higher highs in the stock price, like I said. And with the RSI, we have the high here on September 18th of 73.75. And it's not much lower, but it is a little bit lower. The high over here from October 8th was 71.20. So there definitely is a very slight, downtrend there. If I hold shift, you can see horizontal, and you can see that the RSI is slightly lower than that. And so that would be a little bit of bearish divergence. Higher highs here, lower highs in the RSI. So with that being said, it might be pulling back, like I said, to around 2. I mean, the 618 here is around 186. It is possible now that I'm, noticing that bearish divergence, that it does pull back some. And that could be coinciding with the 50 SMA. So if it does start to break below 2 and like 192, I'd see where that 50 SMA is. That could be acting as support. And then let's pull up Rocket. And so Rocket over here, this has retraced to the 50% as long as I do have that lined up to those correct levels, just approximate, but yeah, the high over here. And so we can see that green line is at 1631. Also, I do have the yellow line drawn there at 1583, kind of corresponding with the consolidation tops over here. So it's like, not necessarily the exact highs there, but just where, WIX might have pierced, but candles didn't really trade above them. So it was like there were multiple exit points there as it bumped into resistance. And then now, that resistance might be flipping over to as support. Around 16, did close at 1639, that 50% retracement at 1631, but being approximate. If it does break lower though, or maybe gets like a wick lower, the 618's right around 1482, so that's a possibility. And we also, that actually, this yellow line that I have manually hand drawn up here from the tops, that seems like it could be like the beginning of support with those, consolidation highs. But really, once you get down to that 618, that, second yellow line that's based on the Fibonacci, I think that's really getting into like the meat of support, because not only are you moving into these tops over here where there were sellers that, let's see, might be buying back, that it's come back to that level because they missed out on the upside here. And so that could be flipping to support. Also, we did see some tops over here around that 618. And so that's kind of like the meat of support there, I would say. It was prior resistance, could be flipping to support moving forward. So, maybe down to 15, somewhere around there. And then I do have that trend line drawn there. And just making sure, if I do switch this over to the log scale, we can just see how does that make this look different. We could see that it's now actually trading, just below the 382. That's at 1656. Whereas on the linear y-axis, it's around 1631, 50%, versus that 382, which would be up here. Oops, I did that for the volume. I meant to do it right here. And, but yeah, the 50% for this right around 15 does correspond with the tops over here. So I actually find coming down to around 15 as being more compelling. Like, for example, if this is a stock that I was curious to buy, I would say, okay, well, it does seem like it's at a discount, having retraced on the log scale to the 382 and this yellow line that I've drawn corresponding with the tops here, or, on the linear, oops, dang it, I keep doing that. On the linear scale, retraced to the 50%, so that does seem pretty good. But as I pointed out, this level to the downside does correspond with the tops there. If I was curious to buy, I might say, well, it's at a discount now, but it'd be at a real discount down there. So if I was considering getting it, I'd probably wait until 15. Maybe it gets filled, maybe it doesn't. If it's something that I have to hold, this could be a nice level to add, and with the possibility of adding at a lower price. But if I didn't have to hold it, I would wait for lower. But that's just me. This is not one that I'm in love with or anything. But yeah, just switching over to the log scale, just out of curiosity. Very cool how that 50% then lines up with the tops there. Whereas on the linear scale, I was going to do it with the volume again, it's a 618. So very cool. I think that 15 is going to be a very important level for it. And then so just real quick, I'm going to pull up the flow for it just to see if there's anything that stands out in the options data. So just going to pull up whatever random arbitrary contract up here, just so we can see the net call and put premium, and it doesn't look so good. We do have green, the net call premium coming down, ending the day down $681,000 down, with net put premium in red, positive 1.26 million. So that does seem like it's probably going to be rolling over a little bit more. So yeah, I mean, I'd say 15 seems pretty intriguing. If we look back at the past 30 days, ups and downs, seems like there's a lot of volatility in this based on the options data here. But yeah, I don't want to fall too deep down that rabbit hole. And so I might, let's see, continue on with, so Anon had the request for USAR MP. That's another interesting one, MP related to rare earth elements, and then LAC, which is Lithium America. So I'll pull those up. And that does complement Hydro Hustla swing traders comment on LAC. So I might, and then also very cool, Ricardo is mentioning TLRY, and so I'll come back to that. So I might go over LAC and then come back to Anon's requests of MP and then USAR. So I'm just going to actually note these so I remember what I'm doing or what I go over in this. So I'm just going to, for some reason, I decided to write diagonally in the notepad. I don't know why. Yeah, so let's pull up LAC. And yeah, this is one that like I felt like I missed. And so then I started looking at USAR. And USAR, I almost got in, but I ended up missing. And MP, I haven't looked at that. And that's one that I was actually introduced to like during the pandemic, I think. But yeah, LAC, I have no idea what's going on with this. And this might actually be one that I have to pull up in the, what do I have here? This is just kind of comical. I'm just going to, let's retracement to the upside. Yeah, I'm just going to delete that. A little too much noise, I think. But yeah, so Lithium Americas closed on Friday at a price of $7.49. So let's just look over at Webull so I can pull up the overnight price action if there is any for it. But yeah, this is Lithium Americas, ticker symbol LAC. They do have overnight trading and it's up 2.8%. As we can see here, Friday kind of faded lower, so there wasn't like a big dump like there was with the SPY and a lot of other stocks. In the after hours, there was a dump that I believe, it's further Trump announcements, volatility, whatever, and hit a low of $6.80 in the after hours on Friday. And then now in the overnight, it's trading around $7.70. Looks like this could be kind of a bull flag and, potentially breaking out. And if we do look at the volume here, upside, and then as it's, held here, volumes died down some. So that could be a bull flag, but it's also overnight trading. So there's not as much volume. So it could be, not much of a signal. And also one thing, I opened it right before the stream, but cheers to you guys. I got a can here. I don't know if you guys ever spent any time in Colorado, and I think this is going to be reverse for you. It's Dale's Pale Ale. And yeah, I lived in Colorado for, I think 5, maybe 6 years. I think 6 years. And I have some nice memories there. So cheers to you guys. It's funny, I popped it before the stream because I don't want to make a big pop noise. And then it just kind of foamed up. It's just sitting there. But yeah, I need to drink that. I got 20 minutes to drink that, or 22 minutes to drink that. But yeah, so because I got work in the morning. But yeah, Lithium Americas here going up some. And so, I mean, this for me is one that I've already accepted. I've missed it. I'm intrigued by it. And so that's unfortunate. But what we can do is maybe find some levels that if it does pull back to them, they might be dip buying opportunities. So I'm just going back to the low from August 1st. That's at 247. Let's see. I'm doing this approximately. But yeah, one that it's actually not a part of the fib retracement, but what stands out to me from this is just like the highs over here. Because, that was resistance on the way up that could be acting as support. And that's effectively where it pulled into on Friday. And so the low on Friday was 750. And that does seem to be, right around where that line is that I have it drawn at 747, I guess. And, yeah, so that could very well be some support, but if it does go lower, the 382 is there at 679, the blue line there. So maybe that would be a nice level to, add cheaper than where it's at now. Could also be coming lower than that, but I'm not going to go over all of the levels. Really, the next one, 50%, that's around $6. But yeah, I think, it's always good to do is just look at the data over here to see if there's anything that really stands out. So far, I haven't seen any thing in the tickers that we've looked at, but maybe there's something over here. Looks like there was a lot of put action on Friday, but these, are not necessarily huge orders. And one thing that I might do, just so we do see any of the orders that we do see are a little bit more interesting, $100,000. So we did see a call for January 16th, a strike of 750, right around where current price is. It's $146,000, and that was on Friday. But it does seem like it was bearish because it was on the bid side, but it could be somebody buying. But yeah, looking at the data here, I'm just going to expand this because I'm not looking at that specific contract. What we can see is the net put premium is flat in red, and the net call premium is coming down. And the net call premium did come down by more than $1 million. It came down by 1.41 million. So that could be suggesting that, yeah, I mean, maybe it does pull back to, the 382 at 679 or the 50% around 6. And so one thing that I might do just for funsies, I'm not planning on buying anything, but I'm just going to pull this up on the daily. I think I got some alerts on this. I'm going to put an alert on it. I can delete this one. Don't need that. But below, I'm going to put an alert for below $6, and I'm going to delete that other alert. So if it does come down to 6, maybe that would be of interest, like it's discount zone, or maybe it's going to keep going lower. And so just, a good idea to reevaluate there if it does come down. But yeah, I could see it coming down to 680 or 6 seems possible as well. And also, I mean, look at that moving average. It's a 50-day SMA. It's currently at $4. I don't think price is going to come down to $4, but that moving average needs to catch up pretty quick, and I think it will. And so maybe that ends up, let's see, I'll just doodle it out. Maybe it does end up going up kind of like this, and then price meets it at around $6, gets caught by the 50% retracement and that moving average, and then it bounces. So that would be quite nice. There's this big gap here, but I don't really think that's going to be getting filled. And so the other one is MP. Let's pull that up. Oops, not MAP. This is Materials Corporation. And does seem like it's got some tops going on here. Just what I'm thinking is big wick over here on August 11th. That was like an inverse hammer. I forget which way to phrase that. But, big wick to the upside and it closed lower. Following that, it did, kind of immediately or more immediately come down by about 10%. And then later came down by a total of like 16%. And then over here, also another big wick to the upside. And then pulled back some. And then now we're seeing another big wick to the upside. So the thing that kind of gets me concerned about this is, I'm just going to raise it a little bit. I'm doing this arbitrarily so it lines up with the close from Friday. But what we can see is, right where I drew that, that's a wick going to the upside. And we have this over here. We haven't seen any closes above that level, which is, right around Friday's close at 778.43. So that seems like that's a pretty significant level. Although it also does seem like, we've got, a little bit of a trend line here. Not that this necessarily matters where it goes to, but yeah, just to point out that there are higher lows there. And so that does look like it's putting in a little bit of, I believe that's an ascending triangle. Which, it's flat over here. That means it's, testing that level as resistance multiple times. Eventually, it's either going to completely get rejected and break down, or since it keeps testing that level keeps getting weaker, maybe price breaks above. And so that's kind of how ascending triangles work. Whereas this uptrend of support to the downside, that is being tested over and over, but you're not testing the exact same prices over and over, whereas to the upside you are. So that's why, as far as my understanding goes, why ascending triangles tend to break to the upside. I'm just going to extend that out. Oops. And so we have a nice little triangle there. Very, very cool. But yeah, I mean, it is getting rejected, and what we can see, lots of volume over here as it does go higher, so that looks good. As price continued to go higher, volume is lower, is getting higher, but still lower than over here. Volume is higher, but still lower than over here, and not getting the result. So what we can see is volume kind of from over here is gradually increasing. And as it's gradually increasing over here, you are getting a result. Price is going higher, so that's good. But then when you get the next surge in volume, price doesn't go higher, gets rejected at the same level. It's like, okay, pull back to that support level, also that 50 SMA at like 69.76. Pull back to that, try for another test. More volume, but you don't get that result. You get a close still at that same level. So that does make me think that this is showing some signs of weakness, but those signs of weakness, if they're broken through, then maybe it really takes off. And we could also see that, from over here, but it's a little bit higher, but I could also draw it from this one. It's a little bit steeper, higher highs coming in there. And with that, we do see lower highs in the RSI, and the comment's actually blocking that, I'm realizing. But you can see that lower highs there, higher highs here. So that's bearish divergence. So I could see it coming back to around 70 or 69 for fun, just to retest that level. And then if it could be bouncing from there, and then I would say potentially doing something like, so up here, pull back, and then break above and close above, and then retest, and then it could start to go higher, something like that. And then that would be suggesting, let's see, how do I want to draw this? I believe that would be suggesting just kind of like a measure move from like this, let's say the trend line there. So I'm just going to draw this, get the midpoint right there. And so that could be suggesting a price target of like $100, or where the cursor is around 108. So I think this is looking really good, but I do think it does need to pull back to around 70 before it does break out of this. But before I get too ahead of myself with that, let's look at some options data on it to see if that is telling us where this could be going. And so here, this is actually one of the better net call and put premium charts that we've seen. The reason for that is because net call premium was positive on Friday. But before I get into that, let's talk about the net put premium, also positive. That's the red line there. Ended the day at $5 million increase. So that's a lot of money. But we see the net call premium increasing by 8.73 million. So the green line there kind of following the yellow, which is the stock price, but then diverging here in the end and ending the day up 8.73 million. So this is leaning more bullish, I would say, but there is, some bearishness in the net put premium increasing. If we look over the past 30 days, we do see price going up. To me, with the net put premium also rising, this does make me think that it might roll over a little bit. So yeah, I do feel like this will be pulling back as I have doodled, maybe to around 70. And also, what I should also, I think I just said also like 3 times, but I should pull this up in Webull just so we can look at, what's going on in the overnight. Wow, this is up 5.69% in the overnight, currently trading at $82.80. So that's going to be an important factor. The high, though, on Friday was $84.92. So the overnight is not yet above that. But we can look at that. If I do switch this over to the 10-minute time frame, we can see that the high during market hours, where it's shaded in black here, was a little bit higher than where it's at now, but there was a sell-off towards the end of the day and some volatility in the after hours, which it actually continued up higher. It bounced in the after hours, and that could be because the tensions with China may be leading to more rare earth elements, mining and whatnot in the US. And also this Simply Wall Street note here, the news there, does say that MP Materials assessing valuation after U.S. government support and China's rare earth export controls. So yeah, I think that this could be taken off, but like 82.56 where it's currently at, That is above the horizontal line that I have drawn there, but opening above that and then closing below, that would be a rejection, even though you'd see the body of a candle above. You want to be seeing closes above that level. And so again, that level's right around 78.42, somewhere around there. Or, just the close from Friday, look at that, 78.43. But then the other one that you guys had, I'm just going to follow up on USAR. And to be honest, I probably don't have too much to say about this just because I've done all of this and, I got left behind on it, but I'm proud of the analysis. I'm really just going to pull up the flow data for USAR to see if that looks good. I imagine it will look similar to what we're seeing in MP just because they're the same sector. Actually, this doesn't look as good. MP actually looks better than USAR. And so over here, I'm just going to go to the 1 day to start so we're not overwhelmed. Net call and put premium were both positive. Net put premium went up by $2.1 million, whereas net call premium went up by $921.85 thousand, so nearly $1 million, but not quite. And so this doesn't look as strong as MP. But it doesn't look as bad as the other ones that I've covered. And then if we do look at the past 30 days, we can actually see some very aggressive selling, presumably selling of calls with net call premium coming down. Let's see, over here on October 3rd, net call premium coming down by 2.76 million. So that's actually not that bad. I was expecting a lot more. And then the following day on October 6th, that would have been a Monday, I believe. And that net call premium came down by 4.32 million. And then on the 8th, that would have been Wednesday, net call premium came down by about $4.5 million. So that's betting, that's basically people taking profits on their calls and or betting that this is maybe not going to be going higher. But maybe it could be, selling cash secure or selling covered calls. That would be betting that like the top is in. So this is suggesting not necessarily that it's bearish, but that people are taking profits and or betting that the top is in. It could just be de-risking, so like, taking some off the table. So you could definitely continue to the upside. But with that, like what we're seeing there, I guess what I'd do, this is kind of rough, but just from that white line that I've drawn there around $19 going up to the high, really just being kind of arbitrary because that's not the low, but that's kind of like this breakout, that we've seen here. And what we can see is the 50% is around 28.34, and that corresponds with like the consolidation here. So I could see it, maybe it does go up a little bit, but maybe it ultimately comes down, something like that. And then, maybe do like an inverse head and shoulders type pattern, and then it goes higher. Something like that. So 28.34 is that 50% retracement, 29 to 28, somewhere around there is what I would say. But yeah, and then let's see the other ones in the chat. I believe I have to go over TLRY next, so I'll just pull that up from Hydro Hustla. And so let's see. And I'm just going to make sure there's more chats that I'm missing. So I'm just going to kind of respond to them, but I'll pull them up once I go through TLRY. And and Hydro Hustler, I guess I'll pull them up and then I'll come back to TLRY. Hydro Hustler saying good evening. So whether that's to me or everybody in the chat, cheers to you guys. Hopefully you had a nice, relaxing weekend, taking a break from the volatility of Friday. And I don't know what, it looks like 86% in the poll. I'm not sure how many people voted, but 86% of the poll saying that we're going to end the week green. So cheers to that. It's dip buying opportunity right now, according to the poll. But yeah, good evening to you all. And Ricardo, you're very welcome. Thanks for the request. Thanks for hanging out. And I'm going to pull it up since I did just cheers. I'll cheers again. Hopefully, yeah, nobody's ever going to sponsor me. I don't get enough traction on the channel, but one thing that I'm really thinking that I'll be able to do, it really just depends on what happens in crypto, since I'm very much exposed there and I have, the thesis that I go over every week on Saturdays. But if that plays out well, I'm going to try to shift away from my job and leave it and just focus on, trading and making videos. And so that would correspond with doing more live streams. I might open up a membership for the channel, which, you know, I'll announce later once I've kind of worked that out, which would be like, you know, $1 a month. You get to vote in polls and stuff like that. And I'd probably limit the ones that I do publicly, and then maybe $5 a month. And I do have a Discord, but it was kind of an experiment before that didn't really work out. And I was thinking, well, you know, maybe I could lean into that a little bit more, make it better. And that could be a nice way for us to more casually exchange ideas. So you guys kind of get like a more inside perspective on the channel. If you wanted, and then that could like feed into like the types of videos that I do, types of coverage that I do. But yeah, I mean, the channel's not big enough to get sponsors. Like somebody actually gave me a hard time, I think when I was doing Neo videos, like I have 2,000 some subscribers and that I need to be more responsible. It's like, are you kidding? Like my channel is really small. You don't get the YouTube plaque or the play button until you have 100,000 subscribers. So that's just totally insane. And I guess on that note, if you're not subscribed and you haven't liked the stream yet, make sure you do. And, you know, it's kind of clunky there because I got that there. But yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the alerts if you like. I do sometimes post videos at random times. But yeah, not enough to be sponsored. But, and one of the things I talk about them at work every week, I don't know if you guys are into Crumble Cookie, but I always joke about wanting to be an ambassador for them. Like if they give me free cookies, I'll keep talking about them. But this week's selection, I'm not too impressed. But last week's was bomb. The churro cookie is so good. And also they had a raspberry cookie that was really good as well. But let's see. I'm just going to follow up with all the other, oops, I've got to get my other view. Harry was requesting APLD, so I'll definitely do that. That's actually one that I did a video on. I think I actually did a couple of videos on it like 2 months ago over here. 221 views, so that's, you know, okay for me. Basically, if a video doesn't get above 100 views, it's kind of a failure. But this one, you know, a month ago, I'm just gonna, if I'm in Chrome, it animates the beginning, but now I'm back in OBS, so it's not animating it. But yeah, I called that bottom. You can see the little hand there. I'm very proud of that. Did apply digital, just bottom. Signs it's ready to launch. I was spot on with that. Only 83 views. Didn't even hit 100. So that's kind of disappointing, but it is what it is. And I think actually that's kind of a good metric. Something that I pay attention to, if you watch one of my videos and the analysis really makes sense, and it seems like there are a lot of layers of, oh, it came back to this retracement, it corresponds with this moving average that lines up with prior resistance, so that could be support, and options data looks like it's flipping bullish. If it's like a number of things that come together, and in that video, it's less than 100 views, you can see right there, 83 views, then that I'm probably spot on with it. Because whenever, I mean, some of them, you know, I might just be wrong, but I think a lot of the videos where it's like I was spot on and nailing the bottom, people don't watch them because people like the exciting stuff, the chase. And that was actually a sign for me with a Neo video. Let's see, the one with the lemon. That got a lot of views for me, 1.9 thousand views. And that made me think, you know, saying that I think it's about to squeeze, that made me realize like that might be euphoria. And so I shortly after made a follow-up video, and I got some backlash for that, almost 1,000 views. That's one of the reasons why I like to cover Neo a lot. It gets views. But you know, I was suggesting that, you know, it could be coming back to 550 before 10. And you know, somebody blocked me on X, other people gave me a hard time in the chat, in the comments. But it's like, well, hey, I mean, I in this video called this video out and said, hey, there might be some euphoria there. So I could actually see this pulling back, and people said no. It did go higher. It was around 7 then. It went up to 8, but it has pulled back to around 7 now. So yeah, I mean, I think that looking at the views and the type of engagement, you know, it's like we're sheep. And so if we're all herding to something like, you know, 1.9 thousand views, then maybe that's going to be wrong, and something with fewer views is, you know, a little bit better to consider. But yeah, let's see. Oh, I see RCKT. And I have been streaming for an hour, so I'm just going to kind of like go super fast through the rest of the requests and stuff. But just here, Ricardo saying, once I get to 100,000 subscribers, you won't be able to look up ticker symbols. Yeah, no way. I'll have to adjust. So if I get to 100,000 subscribers, which will take like years if I'm even still doing YouTube by then, but then I'd probably have to limit it to like super chats or members or something. But I don't need to do that right now, so that's why it's, you know, open and you know, free to everybody, because it's, yeah, fun to go over this stuff, and it gives me some added perspective. And then, you know, hopefully the drawings that I leave up on the charts end up being correct, but if not, then they're there for me to, you guys to hold me accountable, and then I can, you know, learn from mistakes and, you know, try to be getting better. But yeah, I'll pull up TLRY. Let's see, I don't think I have it in my list here anymore just because I'm not holding it. I had a limit buy order at 150, but the low was 151, so I didn't get in. But what we can see on the TLRY chart is, yeah, I mean, I did the video right over here, the low 151 on October 6th. I think I did the video on October 3rd or over that weekend. And yeah, it is what it is. And that was to suggest that options data were saying that it could be going up to 2 by October 31st, by Halloween. But that's just the expiration. So it means that between that time and October 31st, it should be up at 2. Otherwise, those contracts are going to go to 0, or, you know, heading towards 2 at least. But yeah, the high over here on earnings day, which was the 9th, was 232. Let's see. I do have this trend line here, which seems like a little bit arbitrary there. I'm not sure. Yeah, what's going on with that? I maybe drew that on the shorter time frame. So yeah, maybe I'll just flip this over to 15-minute. Or maybe the hour, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we did dip below that a little bit in the after hours on Friday, but still respecting it. And it closed on Friday. I'm just going to flip this back over to the daily. It closed on Friday at a price of 172. Let's pull it up in Webull. I've already got it pulled up there. There's no overnight trading for this, so it's still 172. But yeah, I mean, with this, I don't even know how to assess this after that big move. I mean, I could still see it coming down to 150, and, you know, let's look at some data here from Unusual Whales. So TLRY, let's look up TLRY. And so like layers to how I'm going to do this. Look up the contract data here. We see a drop in net call premium, so the green coming down, and that came down by $841,000. So that's, I would say, a pretty good amount for a stock that's trading at 167. So that does seem like it's more on the bearish side. If we look back the past 30 days, we can see lots of call buying over here. And that was followed by, you know, the stock price moving up. And so the stock price is in yellow. But now it's maybe starting to sell off. And, you know, the way that I would try to get an assessment of that, first, because the button's over here, I'm going to look at the insider trading, the insider transactions. Doesn't look like there's anything recent other than, you know, exercising taxes. No buying, no selling. So I think it's kind of like normal business. But then if we look over at the Greeks, we can see the max pain. And max pain for the next few Fridays. Actually, this Friday was last Friday, 150, and, you know, price went up to 2 and then kind of came back down towards 150. The next 3 Fridays, max pain is 150. That's probably going to change, so I keep that in mind. And then the next strike after that, the next max pain, I should say, for November 7th is $1. So, yeah, I mean, I think that considering that, this is probably going to be pulling back to 150, and I previously had a an order to buy 100 shares at 150. When it came down to 151, my order was not filled. And after it did make this explosive move to the upside, I decided to remove my buy order because I had a thesis. My thesis would have made me money, but it missed my fill by 1 penny. It happens. And, I could have done my fill at 153, where that yellow line is, but I didn't. I could have done my fill at 151, which is the 50% retracement that I have drawn there. The green right there, I don't know how well you can see it. That probably wouldn't have gotten filled either because, spreads and whatnot. But yeah, I'm not paying attention to this. But what I might do, I probably have an alert on it, but I'll just make sure, create an alert. So 150 below, I don't need to create an alert. I already have one at 150. So I'm good with that. And then let's see. Harry has applied digital. So I'll pull that up. And I have to say, I am a little disappointed in that most recent video's lack of performance because I probably would have done a follow-up. But, it's like when stuff takes off and takes off to the upside and nobody watches when I said I thought it might, then, it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to try to create bag holders by making videos when it's irresponsibly high. But let's see. With this, maybe you could draw a trend line from the tops here. Maybe that's something. Also, there is, a gap here. So the close on Thursday on the 9th was at 29.29. So I'm just going to lock that into place and adjust that here. And so we can see there's a gap there. Doesn't necessarily need to be filled, but there is another gap over here. Excuse me. The closing price on October 1st was $25. That's kind of an easy round number, quarter of 100. And so I'll do that one as well, just so that's up there. So 2 gaps potentially might be getting filled. And, in all honesty with this, I don't even know where to begin. Where would I draw a retracement and stuff? So, with that being said, I'd say that this could probably be coming back to 30 at least. This yellow line, like I said, is at 29.29, but it could be at least coming back to 30. But let's check over let's see, Webull to see if, what's the stock? It's APLD. The beverage is getting to my head a little bit and I'm getting tired. But yeah, let's look over at Applied Digital. And this in the overnight is up 5.5%, something like that, 5%. $1.75 or so, trading around $35.74. So yeah, a little bit of a sell-off on Friday. Sell-off into the after hours, but then a bounce. And then in the overnight so far, moves higher. So yeah, I think that we definitely saw some panic on Friday, and I could have bought the dip more aggressively, but I no emotion, and so I'm proud of myself for how I handled that. And I went forward with a thesis for Crypto Corner Sat Stacker that I'm going to move forward with this week with the assumption that it's a dip buying opportunity. Maybe I get proved wrong, but I'll assess that next Saturday and then I'll adjust. But yeah, I was a little bit more aggressive with my positions and my crypto buys and stuff this week, but also while managing and stuff, not getting too crazy. But yeah, let's look up Applied Digital. It's also possible I have one in my, nope. Oh yeah, I do have a contract over here. So we can just look at it from here. This is one that I maybe swung. I can't remember exactly. This is the $30 call for January 16th. Price is above $30. So yeah, I should have not swung that. I should have held it and then sell tomorrow. But yeah, let's just expand the net call and put premium here. And we can see that net call premium's up by $8.1 million. However, net put premium is also up, but only by $1.42 million. So generally looking more bullish than bearish, but it could also be getting into, a little bit of a cool off. So over the past 30 days, we see that definitely the highest net call premium yesterday, $8 million. So that's, that really stands out to me. The price would really have to start, going parabolic for those calls to be warranted, that net call premium. And I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that this, especially because, with this candle opened at 37.02 and then closed at 33.99. What was max pain? I think that's an interesting thing for us to consider. So let's look at that. Let's see, max pain over here. Max pain for Friday was $26. And, of course it closed well above that, but max pain, let's see if I come over to the chart here, served as a magnet for, max pain is, a lot lower than where price is. That's probably going to contribute to a gamma ramp, but max pain is also going to serve as a magnet because market makers want to get that price as close as possible to max pain. But since it's still above, I was curious to see if it was $34 because this closed a penny below. And so with that being said, while it didn't close below max pain, all of the calls at the $34 strike, those went to zero. And so this is a little bit more, in my view, showing kind of that there is some strength in the bears. Max pain definitely lower than where price closed at, where price currently is. But the fact that it's 34, at the strike, and it's let's just pull it down one more penny. So it screws over some of those longs at the $34 strike. So, it seems, a little bit fishy to me. But yeah, I'm getting more requests, but I do need to end the stream here soon. And so I'll just pull up Hydro Hustlers, RCKT. Oh, and I do need to note the ones that I just went over, which I did just go over. Applied Digital, of course, and then TLRY was before it. And I have no idea why I'm writing down stuff diagonally in my notepad, but I am. And so there's that. And so I'll go over RCKT, and then let's see, Chris, let's see, I do see your plug request, so I'll go over that as well. Hydra Hustler, I did go over TLRY, so hopefully that was helpful for you. And let's see, I'll pull this up, is up 9%, so I'm just going to see what that is. In the overnight, is it up over in the overnight? I don't have it here. I don't have any overnight data for TLRY, at least in Webull, but I do have it in other stocks. So maybe that's just something that I'm missing in the Webull coverage there. Google Finance, TLRY. Oh, okay, cool. So the overnight stuff is kind of new to me. So I'll just pull it up real quick. TLRY brands. Google. So I'm not seeing anything here up 9%. Yeah. Wendy's is based. They were making fun of Katy Perry or whatever her name is when she went into space and said she was an astronaut. I found that to be pretty funny, and I went to Wendy's right after it. And actually, they're I don't know if it's the same deal where you guys live, but they have a 4 for $5 deal where you get 4-piece chicken nuggets, junior bacon cheeseburger, fries, and a drink for $5. So that's my lunch once every week or two, just because it's so cheap. And, why not? I like a junior bacon cheese. But yeah, let's pull up the flow data here. And then I'll do RCKT. And I'll do it over here. So RCKT. I'm just going to go over this really super fast because I got work in the morning. I would say this looks like a cautionary tale because this is a reversal candle. You have big green one up, and then this big red one kind of nearly encapsulates all of that green one from the previous day. This is trading, above $3, so that's good. I feel more comfortable with that. 342. Let's see what the Market cap is 369 million. With this being a pharmaceutical company, that seems like it's kind of low, but I'm not really sure. We do see in this, lower highs in the stock price, and with that, we also see much lower volume. And so you could argue that, hey, maybe that looks good because it didn't go as high as over here, but there's just not much volume backing it. So it's probably not going to be sustained. So I could see this coming back to right around that 50-day SMA, which is around 322. So that's what I would say with it. But let's pull this up. And actually, I don't know that there is any options data on Rocket, but maybe it's just because I have, there is some options data, but just not $100,000 premium. So that would mean, premium here, pretty small. It's the little fishes, no big whales. So with that being said, just to kind of give us some perspective here. Over the past 30 days, the highest amount the net call premium was, not that it closed that on the day, but the highest that it was $22,000. So I think that with this one, it's, maybe a retail favorite because of the volatility in the stock price, but it's not backed by, options data. I would say it's more just backed by a smaller market cap and, also, let's see, there are no splits that I'm seeing, but yeah, I would say this is probably coming back down to 322 would be my perspective. But maybe, if it comes down to 322, then that's the moving average. So, it's held over here since it's caught up to that moving average. So I would say maybe a long. If you needed to long it, I would say maybe 325, wait for a pullback some. And one thing that I can do is RCKT to see if there's overnight trading on it. And there is some overnight trading. It's up 3.2%, but it's, these are the 10-minute moving averages. So that'd be 500-minute and the 2,000-minute moving averages. And it's bumping into that. So that could be some resistance there. And let's see. What are the other ones? Ricardo just is saying, what are the tickers that I think are good buy right now? Maybe, okay, so I'll come back to this. I have one on my mind. It's one that I bought last week. But I'll pull up Plug. Maybe that's one. I'm just going to go over that for Chris. I don't think I have it in my list over here anymore just because I'm not holding it. But Plug, I am intrigued. I don't have a position. I don't plan to get a position necessarily because I feel like I get too maybe emotionally attached to it and stuff, just because like the YouTube crowd's really nice. And, so I want to, but then it's like, makes me feel bad if I like sell or something like that. And, but so just looking at this, I could see like right around here, that's sub $3. So with Plug, like I could see it coming down to $3, and that's when I would want to add if I was going to add. And I believe I do have an alert on it. I need to note this over here. So just Rocket and Plug. But yeah, if I pull up Plug over here, what's going on in the overnight? Let's see, where's Plug? The overnight up 3.51%. So, where did it hit in the after hours on Friday? What was I talking about? $3. And so that might have been a really great, in my view, if like I had to buy it. If I would have decided that I was going to buy it, I would have placed a limit order at $3 and I would have hoped that would have been filled, but maybe not. Maybe it wouldn't have been filled. And, for me, I wouldn't chase it. But that could be the bottom that I'm talking about over here, and then it just goes higher. But there are some gaps over here down to like 283, and that just being below like 294 or so, the tops over here. So I could see that pulling back. If I do look at options data, I think I am looking at a contract over here. Plug, this is a put that I have that I'm losing money on. But just from the data over here from Friday, net call premium coming down, and it came down by 1.16 million. So that doesn't really look so good. And then net put premium went up by about 236,000. So again, not so good. So yeah, I mean, with plug, I would wait for 3. And I think also if I do expand this, we can just to look at the Greeks, the max pain. For this past Friday, it was 350 and we closed at like 328, I guess. Is that right? What did plug close at? 342. It closed at 342, which is below max pain. And then for the next 3 weeks, the next 3 Fridays, max pain's 250. So I would say that I wouldn't be surprised if it came down to 3. I would actually expect that. And maybe it doesn't come down to 250, but that could be a nice dip buying level, considering that the lowest max pain that we see here for almost the rest of the year is 250 when we get into the end of November. November 28th, max pain is actually 150 for the rest of the year. So I feel like there could be some downside on it. And also we do see up here a little notification, insider Haycraft Benjamin Haycraft sold 10,000 shares, and that was on October 10th. So if we look at the insider trading over here, we do see the sale, and that was on October 10th. That represented a value of about $38,000, so it's really not that much money, so I wouldn't worry about that. But yeah, let's pull up when moon soon. Yeah. Like whenever people say when, I never know if they mean Wendy's or just when, like WHEN, because meme culture and whatnot. And so, Christian, I asked before plug. Oh, you asked about Wendy's before plug. Okay, cool. I'll pull up Wendy's real quick, unless you mean, yeah, I get confused by this. When moon soon. I'll look at it. When moon. Man, you got me wanting to eat some Wendy's. Hey, man, 4 for $5. It's a steal. And I don't necessarily like. I can't do it multiple days, because it's kind of gross, but it's kind of nice. But yeah, I'll pull up the Wendy's chart. We can look at that. And so sorry for my delays. I'm trying to go over all of them, and I am staying up streaming. I got like 6 minutes before I need to be done. But yeah, Wendy's. Ooh, this is looking rough. Yeah, where's the bottom in this? Well, maybe there's something over here. That'd be at like 685, right around 690. Just trying to see, does that correspond with anything from the past? I might go to the weekly. Maybe there's something here on the weekly. And one thing that I might want to do is switch this over to the log scale. I don't know if that makes this look better or worse. But, just from like the lows over here, maybe. I think that's probably hopium. And actually, before I do that, maybe I will do this on the log scale. There's a pierce of that, but this is definitely hopium. Most definitely hopium. Yeah, so what I might do is not try to suggest that, but go from the low here up to the high. That is a 50% retracement on the log scale. If we go to the linear scale, that's a 786 retracement, just about, at around 835. So that could be coming into some support. So yeah, but it could be going lower to around 660, which would be the 618 on the log scale. And that would also kind of correspond with the lows over here. That was around 682, or let's say $6.90. Look at all this volume here, though. That's pretty insane. But it's like, a lot of volume here. Price goes up, gets sold, and then volume increases as it's coming down. So, I mean, this is kind of what I'm thinking could be happening with it. And so I'll just do this kind of a little bit roughly here. Now let's see, I always forget where this tool is, right over here. So let's see, I'm just gonna take it from here. to like over here. So we got that little bar pattern. And so I wonder if something like this could be happening. You know, where it spends a lot of time. This is to December, this is the beginning of 2030 where the cursor is. So I think that this, distributed a bunch here, and then it could be accumulating for a while. But we could also look at the options data real quick to see what's going on. And this is, it's not really telling me anything over here. That over the past 30 days, the highest net call premium was around 161,000. So I would not be too crazy about Wendy's, but I'll pull it up over here. Unless you're getting the 4 for 5. 1% in the overnight, up 1%. But yeah, I mean, generally looking at the chart, like what's the signal that the bottom's in, other than, just keeps going lower and hopium wanting the bottom to be in. And so, yeah, and it's below the 50-day SMA. So I feel like this is probably just going to continue bleeding until it starts to show signs of bottom, and who knows when that's going to happen. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm going to probably do a hard stop on the stream in like 2 minutes just because I got to go to bed. But I'll just pull up the chats, and then so like we can all see what the thoughts are. But Ricardo's saying, hope SHIB goes up soon. Been a bag holder for a while now. Yeah, for me, like I had traded SHIB like 4 years ago or so. But I didn't decide to get back into it just because like I really like Doge a lot, and not that like you can't choose multiple, but I kind of wanted to diversify with other animals. Like I have some Pepe, I have some Pengu, and I have some Trump. So I've got dog, frog, penguin, and person. So I've got all of the memes, all categories right there. I didn't want to concentrate in too many dog meme coins, but I mean, I'm joking, but, yeah, Chris is saying, thanks for the Wendy's. Yeah, no problem. And, let's see. And Chris is just saying regarding Wendy's, I know the chart looks bad, but I am a degenerate gambler. I mean, if you're a degenerate gambler, I mean, there is a possibility, looking at the chart, that it does bounce at some point. And if it does bounce, you could be looking at, this is like a 10 to 11% move to the upside. And if you do go from where it's currently at to right around the moving average, that's 10% move to the upside. I do think that there are less risky ways to make 10% though. But you do you. We're all different. And Chris is saying, thanks, brother. We all hit the like. Yeah, make sure you guys hit the like. I'll throw that up here, and then I'll hide the chat so it doesn't block it. But yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on the alerts if you like. Personally, I don't like to have alerts on. I just watch the videos that I like when they pop up. And I do always try to like them. And yeah, because I think it's like, I think on X, I used to, when it was back in Twitter, I didn't always like stuff because I didn't necessarily want people to see what I liked, and they make it private. And it's like, well, I just want to give my likes out, And same with YouTube, just because it supports creators, whether they're small creators or large creators, have big followings, small followings. Liking really helps out with the algorithm. So whether it's this channel or others, one thing that I've recently started to do over like the past couple of months is just try to be more supportive of other creators, because it's inspiring for me. They give me ideas and I want to support them. And so, likes are free. And so definitely all YouTubers, streamers, whatever, they appreciate it. And let's see, Chris has got a thumbs up there. Ricardo's saying, Wendy seems to be seeing no moon for sure. Yeah, and earnings is coming up here, but maybe with the 4 for 5 deal that I now know about, that we all know about, maybe there is a bounce around earnings. So maybe that's a swing trade, but definitely very risky. And then Chris saying, things aren't always what they seem, and that is 100% for sure. Ricardo is saying thank you very much again. and the memes to the moon. And with that being said, I might just pull up SHIB for funsies here, since I don't cover it in Crypto Corner Sat Stacker. But let's see, and then USD, and I'll pull it up from Coinbase. Ooh, this had a pretty big sell-off on Friday. I wonder what happened. But yeah, I mean, this, and so, you know, one of the ones that I hold that's pretty stupid, I guess I hold another meme coin, Fart Coin. So in addition to those 4 animals, I also have a gas. You know, I've talked about with that one that 69 cents is like a dip buying level for it going to $4.20, unless the inverse prophecy plays out, and that would be coming down to 42 cents. The inverse prophecy played out. And so now, because 69 cents was resistance or was support in my view, my DGen view, my average is now below 69 cents. So now I'm going to sell the majority of my position at 69 cents so I can buy back if it goes lower, or, you know, I can just, you know, chill. My average is less than 69 cents, so I feel good about that. But kind of the point that I wanted to make with that is the moving average here for SHIB is around 4 zeros and a 12. And so that could be acting as some resistance, currently trading around 4 zeros and a 1071. But yeah, I mean, I do think that crypto generally is going to be going higher into the end of the year, but that might roll into 2026. I think there's kind of like this elongated cycle in the crypto space, and that's just because of like the embrace on Wall Street, on Capitol Hill, and yeah, I mean, I just think that there's a lot of growth potential with that and AI and all of that. And I think that memes are going to benefit because some of the narrative, I find this to be like really silly. Like the crypto narrative is people talking about, well, there's so much money on Wall Street and that money is going into ETFs and all this stuff. It's not going into memes. Nobody's buying fart coin and stuff. But it's like, yeah, okay, sure. There's like a lot more money going into crypto that's not going to be flowing into fart coin. And so that's going to push like Bitcoin up and stuff. But there are still degens in crypto, and they're going to ride the wave of Bitcoin and Ethereum and whatever else. And whenever they say, oh, Bitcoin hit 200,000, that was my target. I'm not saying that it's going to get there, and I'm not saying that's my target. I don't really plan on selling my Bitcoin. But if it does hit that target, let's say, you know, I got a target for ETH. Let's say it hits that and I sell that. Oh, but Doge is still down, or SHIB is still down. Maybe I roll some of that money into that. So it's like the argument, there's a total flaw in this argument of there's more money in crypto, but it's Wall Street and it's limited to ETFs and like blue chip crypto. So it's not going to go in degen meme coins. It's like, okay, but there are still degens. Like they have not been removed from the equation. So I think that if there is to be an alt season like it's been in the past, it could be even more explosive because like SHIB, that's been listed on Coinbase. SHIB's going to have an ETF, I believe. And that's one that can easily have an ETF, where something like Fartcoin or Pengu that hasn't been listed as long, it's going to take a little bit more effort for those to get ETFs. Although I do think that Pengu will be having an ETF. But yeah, I mean, I don't follow SHIB, so it's tough for me to say. But one thing that I do notice about this, just looking at the chart here very casually, is there are lower highs here. And so if this does pull up to, let's say, a price of a 4 zeros and a 1 3, or I should say 4 zeros and a 1 4, I'd look to see if it's breaking above this uptrend, because you know, what could happen is, you know, it goes up here. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little better. Goes up here, maybe it gets rejected by the, you know, moving average, and that's not a good look. You know, it could do something like that. But let's say it bounces and actually breaks through that moving average and then pulls back, hitting that trend line to find the moving average as support. And then from there, it actually breaks above that moving average. It puts in a higher local high than the high over here, and then it pulls back to retest that downtrend. And that would be the, wow, this is really going to take off. And then it goes to the moon from there. And so right now, this is potentially dip buying opportunity, but it's also, there's risk of a lot of things. So for me, I just not really changed my strategy too much with crypto. I'm probably more risk off this week because I focused more on like the blue chip tokens, or coins, let's see, or, getting my averages down so then I can get out of some that are more speculative. And so like for this week, I'm buying more Avalanche and Solana than, the other ones and stuff. Oh, and XRP as well. And also Arbitrum. I don't an Arbitrum here. Yeah, because that's, a newer one that I have some conviction in, but it's, I don't have too large of a position. So just trying to build that up a little bit. But yeah, anyways, I have got to get to go into bed. And so there's a lot more in the chat. So there's Wendy's right next to my house. They got all new menu and burgers. Very nice. I am jealous. I gotta at least ride a bicycle to get to Wendy's where I live. Chris, no problem. No problem. You were welcome. I always say no problem, or I think I always say no problem whenever people say like thank you. I say no problem, or of course. I say of course. I should say you're welcome. Wish could hit the like more than once. Go back and like all the old videos. No. Just, you guys being here and hanging out. I appreciate it. Do I see the heart symbol when we hit it? I do see some animations, and I don't know. Yeah, I definitely see the hearts if they're just being hit. So yeah, I do see them. It's just I'm not always looking at them because my monitor's over here, and this my laptop is really just for managing the stream. So and then yes, support push support. Yes, support and push the good information. Yeah, no, 100%. Thanks for getting that SHIB. Yeah, no problem. Of course, fun to go over. Bag holder on SHIB at quadruple 28. Too many zeros, but yeah, 28. Yeah, like I have the same issue with Pepe. It has a lot of zeros, and I kind of hate the cryptos that have like more than 2 zeros after the decimal, just because it's like it's too much. But yeah, 28. Up here, yeah, it's not all-time high, so that's some good news. I mean, it is close to the top over here, but yeah, I mean, if this is to be happening, I mean, now could be a time, like one of the things that I do, like I have Pengu up here on my list. I have a pretty small position in Pengu. What I'm doing this week, I like Pengu. I'd like to have more of it, but it's speculative, and I don't want to be spreading, putting too much capital into it. I just do $1 every day on Pengu, and that adds up over time. And I think like my positions that are the best, whether it's $1 every day or like Ethereum, I do $40 every day. The ones that I'm in my best position, ETH is my best crypto holding, and that's because I'm consistent. Every single day I buy. And so I think that could be a nice way, even if it's just $1, it can, maybe get that average down a little bit lower. And then, so like, it's like, this is showing, lower highs here, maybe it ends up doing lower highs with the tops like this. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, just because it went up to like 32 cents or whatever it was, 4 zeros and a 3-2, doesn't mean that's going to happen again. I do feel pretty confident in crypto, but that might, my thesis generally is kind of like towards the end of the year. So that might definitely be changing. And Ricardo saying made over 100,000 on SHIB, but rebought again. So basically have it all back. Congrats on making 100,000. I have never made a trade that big. Hopefully, I think in most of my crypto positionings, I might be in that kind of position next year, but maybe not. I'm not really sure. I'm not counting or worried about it too much, but that's very impressive. Congrats to you. But yeah, with all that being said, I might wrap this up because I do need to get to bed so I'm not exhausted tomorrow. But yeah, I know you guys all have, but in case somebody's new joining at the end, make sure you like, subscribe, and I will stream tomorrow for after hours update. I believe I'm doing that at 5 p.m. Eastern. And so that'll be my next video as a stream. And then I'll try to do another video in the evening, which I imagine will be Neo. but we'll have to see because, I kind of view that as coming down to sub 6, and I don't think people will like that. But yeah, I might do that tomorrow. I might do something else. So, but yeah, I'll see you guys 5 o'clock. I'll do a 30-minute stream. I got some stuff to do outside, but yeah, I'll do that tomorrow. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Have a great start to the week, and hopefully it does end up green. It looks like it's 80% in the poll, and I might actually just pull this up over here. This is kind of odd to see it like this, but I got the little pop-up chat thing here, and I might close that. So over here, so we do have 80% out of 10 votes. So 8 people say the week will end green. And then over here, we do have 2 people saying that they think it's going to end red. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I got to get going. So I'll see you guys later. And yeah, thank you so much for joining.